hello, aloha, hola, whatever language, whatever dialect, bonjour, however you prefer to say it. I just want to welcome you back to Pugilism Company's Pugilism Podcast. Once again, this is Reed, a.k.a. The Black Bert Sugar. You want more? We'll give you more. News aplenty all over the place in boxing. We got a smorgasbord, a buffet, a cornucopia, all the boxing dirt and drama that you can stomach. So let's get right to some of it. Triple G, Gennadiyevich Golovkin against TBA on May 5th. For those that are unaware, for those who've been residing in a cave, TBA means to be announced. If you recall, Mr. Canelo Alvarez withdrew himself from the highly anticipated rematch on May 5th, Cinco de Mayo, because he figured he was going to be suspended by the Nevada State Athletic Commission. Why? Clenbuterol. Wherefore art thou, Clenbuterol? Yes, the masking agent that he was popped dirty with, Canelo decided not to fight it. He's going to wait it out. He pulled himself and withdrew from consideration for May 5th in hopes that if and when he's suspended, he'll be eligible to fight in September. So with that, Canelo, he's out. Team Golovkin figured, hey, no problem, we'll fight Spike O'Sullivan. He's a guy from overseas. He's no real threat. He's credible. But, Gennady will get some rounds. He'll win the fight. We'll still be in consideration for Canelo, hopefully, in September. Well, Mr. O'Sullivan rejected the offer from Team Triple G, citing not enough time to prepare. Mr. Spike, you're rolling the dice there, bruh. I get it. I respect that you have more, you have higher aspirations and more respect for your own talent than to take a short notice opportunity as such. But sometimes you have to take that leap of faith and believe in yourself. Sometimes that door, that window of opportunity is opened and you got to take it. This may or may not prove to be that window that Mr. O'Sullivan should have taken. Only time will tell. But again, I can't throw shade at him for believing in himself and not wanting to jump into a last-minute situation. On another front, Sergey Derevyanchenko is Golovkin's IBF mandatory. He's offered himself up. The IBF is mandating that Triple G fulfill his mandatory sooner rather than later. Now, Derevyanchenko's 12-0, 10 KOs. Not really the guy you want to fight on last-minute notice, especially you've prepared all this time for one guy. The guy you prepared for is the guy you fought in your last fight. So I get it. Triple G, he has nothing to prove at this point. He was, until about 2 or 3 fights ago, he was boxing's preeminent knockout artist, taking everybody out. So I don't want to disparage his name or make him seem like all of a sudden he's soft and looking for the easy way out just because he doesn't necessarily want to fight Derevyanchenko on May 5th. Then we hear about Vikas Krishan. Ah, yes, Vikas, the former 04 Olympian, U.S. Olympian, if I'm not mistaken. He's a career-long 154-pounder, and he's been inactive for nearly 2 years. So, in a perfect world, do you want to see Triple G versus Vikas Krishan? Hell no. You want something more competitive. You want something more meaty. As I've stated before, Cinco de Mayo is one of the biggest dates on the boxing calendar. The only other date as big on the yearly boxing calendar is Mexican Independence Day, which is in September. But given the circumstances, the fate of Canelo, backup opponents pulling out, I'm fine with Vanes Martirosyan subbing in, tag teaming in to face Triple G on May 5th. I'm not ordering the pay-per-view anyway at this point, so it's not going to bother me. I'll wait for the HBO replay, maybe find a sports bar, friend's house that's showing it, if any of my friends are even ordering the pay-per-view at this point. But let's not throw shade at Triple G. Again, it's short notice. He's trying to preserve his spot. And with the whole drug facade and the contaminated meat, that's only building anticipation for the possibility of Triple G facing Canelo in September, obviously pending approval by the Nevada State Athletic Commission. Switching gears, man, they told me, me British mates, me swell blokes, my homies from overseas, they've told me the whole time when Anthony Joshua was climbing the ladder, I was noticing from my hardcore boxing friends from overseas, from the UK in particular, I was noticing them kind of holding back on the excitement. I'm like, man, you got a mainstream guy in your country. He's lighting it up, gold medalist, undefeated, knocked out everybody he's faced up to that point anyway. Read, mate. Eddie Hearn. I don't trust him. They were speaking of Joshua's promoter, Eddie Hearn. I didn't get it before, but after learning about this $12.5 million flat fee that Joshua's promotion has offered to Deontay Wilder to unify the heavyweight division, I'm bamboozled. I'm led astray. Run amok. I'm perplexed. I don't know what to think. $12.5 million to unify all the relevant heavyweight championship belts in the world? Are you kidding me? I get it. Joshua, he's generating $80,000 nearly for every fight against anyone. He could fight an old lady. He could fight the Queen of England, and 100,000 people would watch it on pay-per-view. I get that. But if you want to be the undisputed champion, if you want the prestige that comes with that, Mr. Joshua, and by the way, I'm a big fan, brother. Love watching you fight. Big fan. But you gotta be respectful with the offer that you're making. Deontay Wilder is not a flat fee guy. He just isn't. He brings the one belt that you don't have, the WBC title, historically probably one of the more coveted titles. Now, Pugilism Company, we're leaning more towards the IBF, but I digress. You need Wilder. Don't act like people don't have YouTube and haven't seen Wilder's KOs, if not watched his fights live. Either you're the best heavyweight in the world or it's Deontay Wilder, Mr. Joshua. You have got to make this fight. You've got to make a legitimate offer. What percentage? I don't know. Let's start at 60-40, though. Let's be realistic. Let's not insult the intelligence or insult the eyes of not only Wilder in regards to himself, but boxing fans who know that's no other way to put it, that's a shitty offer. Now, I get it. A side, B side. A side, B side. Back in my day, the A side and the B side, it was in regards to the little 45s, not the actual LPs or albums that you would get, but the little singles that they would release. The A side of the 45 would be the most popular song, a little pop tune or whatever. So I get it. It's now become a boxing term for the fighter that's more popular, the fighter that's going to generate more asses to seats. Yes, Anthony, Mr. Joshua, you're the A side of this promotion. But Wilder is at a point now where if he fights you, It'll be pay-per-view in America also. And, you know, not to burst any bubbles, but if we're talking just in the U.S. alone, not the U.K., but just in the U.S., the United States, Deontay Wilder is the A-side here in the United States. Overall, yes. And in the U.K., no question, it's Anthony Joshua. But in the United States, it would be Wilder. That fight will get more than $12.5 million in American pay-per-view sales, guaranteed. So for you to just handicap and throw out this 12.5 flat fee offer, it really you either thought that you were fighting a special needs fighter, or you don't want to fight him. There's not too many other ways you can put that offer. I don't like it, and again, it just takes me back to what me British mates was telling me. Hey, watch Eddie Hearn, Reed. Keep your eyes on him. I don't trust him. Well, I don't trust you either, Mr. Hearn. Let your boy fight. And to Joshua, don't allow your promoter to cock block the biggest heavyweight championship fight of your era. Don't do it, bro. You need it. Wilder needs it, and boxing needs it. More than likely, Joshua's next fight will be against Big Baby Miller or Alexander Povetkin. They've already got like a date lined up, August 25th in NYC for Joshua's American debut against Big Baby Miller. That's, of course, contingent upon Big Baby being victorious the 28th of this month when he shares a card with Daniel Jacobs. Mr. Miller will be facing Johan Duhaupas. Oh, by the way, this card is promoted by Mr. Eddie Hearn, who I've spoken so glowingly of. Switching gears a little bit, Jermell Charlo has recently signed. He's got an opponent now for his appearance on the undercard of Leo Santa Cruz and Abner Matis Part 2 in Los Angeles, June 9th. And Mr. Charlo announced he will be facing Austin Trout on that day. Immediately was a head-scratching decision, in my opinion. There's no really to it. There's nothing to be gained by beating Austin Trout at this point. Jermall Charlo's already beaten him. Most recently that we've all seen, he was stopped by Jarrett Hurd. Now, we know Trout, former world champion, quality fighter. He's on the tail end of his career. He's got a tricky style. He can be a spoiler of sorts for sure. And he kind of did that with Jermall Charlo. I don't know if Jermell thinks he can shine, he can outdo his brother or Mr. Hurd. But let's just say he does. Let's say he knocks Trout out in the very first round. The immediate thought from most will be, well, your brother already beat him, and Hurd knocked him out. He knocked him out also, so what? I don't know who Charlo should have fought instead, but I would have liked to have seen him pick more of a showcase guy. Knowing that him and Hurd are going to try to fight later this year, I've heard whispers of October. Knowing that that's on the horizon, pick more of a showcase guy, a guy you can look good against, a guy that could maybe help you to boost your asking price for not if, but when you and Mr. Hurd sit down at the negotiating table. I don't know that Austin Trout is that guy because, again, there's no pat on the backs. There's no attaboys. There's none of that for beating Trout. And if you look bad against him, that kind of diminishes his marquee value, his asking price, if you will, so to speak. I don't know. I mean, you got to fight somebody. And for all I know, Charlo has offered this guy and that guy the opportunity, and they said no. And maybe Austin Trout was the only one who was willing to take it. I just think all in all, he could have found a more compliant opponent to face, knowing that you have a big unification fight coming up at the end of 2018. Be afraid. Be very afraid. Don't know if y'all knew, but I'm shook. Vikas Krishan wants a rematch with Errol Spence. Did you hear me? Vikas Krishan wants a rematch with Errol Spence. Who is Vikas Krishan? He lost to Errol Spence in the 2012 Olympics. Actually, he won the fight. He lost the fight. If you saw it, it was clear he lost the fight, but the judges gave him the nod. The decision was so bad that it was actually overturned. I don't recall in history, and I've seen all kinds of bad Olympic decisions, most notably Roy Jones in '88, Holyfield in '84. I mean, bad decisions is par for the course when we're talking Olympic boxing. Errol Spence was one of the few, and perhaps the only, to actually get a bad Olympic decision overturned. Well, Mr. Vikas Krishan is not happy about it. He feels he was wronged, and he wants to make it right. He's going to turn pro, he said, and he's going to win 10 or 12 fights. And at that point, Errol Spence has no choice but to fight him. And when you think about it, I mean, who really wants Spence versus Thurman? Who wants Spence versus Crawford? Who wants Spence versus Brook too? It's all about Spence versus Vikas Krishan too, ain't it? Yep, that's right. I'm drinking. Wake up, y'all. I'm drinking. Just kidding. Just wanted to throw that out there, though. Mr. Krishan, hey, love your ambition. God willing, if you're still in the mix and your paths cross and you've beaten someone of note, I'm sure Earl has no problems doing it. Thank you for the comic relief, though. That's all we got for now, boxing fans. But please know, we're lurking. Where there's news, there's Pugilism Company. We're switching it up. We're going to give it to you just like you want it. Whenever, however. Again, this is Reed, the Black Bert Sugar. Want to once again shout out my man Sarge for making this happen. Twisting, turning, grinding, doing all it takes to keep us afloat, doing what we need to do. Hey, y'all, Pugilism Company, we dishing out 3-piece combos. We hitting you from all angles, to the head and the body, like a well-schooled fighter. Just so you know, the articles, last year we've been hitting you with the articles. The articles, that's the jab. Make no mistake, that's the jab. Sometimes the jab is hard, sometimes it's just pawing, but that jab is there, like a well-schooled fighter. That jab cross, it's the articles and the podcast. Jab, 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 cross. Whether it's the 1-2 or the southpaw 1-2. Left jab, right cross. Right jab, left cross. We coming with articles and podcasts. Oh, but duly note that hook is there. You know that hook is coming because we hit you with 5 of them already. We hit you with 5 of them already and got more to come. And by 5, I'm speaking of the 5 Errol Spence at-length videos hosted by my...
This is a podcast interruption, That was the Black Bert Sugar. This is Sarge. Just want to give thanks to all our listeners, those that tune in to Pugilism Company Podcast. Hit that bell icon, subscribe. By hitting that notification for the bell icon, lets you know the newest and latest video that's dropping from Pugilism Company. Go check out that pugilismcode.com website for all the latest articles written by Sean Reed, a.k.a. the Black Bert Sugar. Check out that 5-part series of Errol Spence. Great interview by a man, Jesse Holly, former Dallas Cowboy wide receiver. And tune in for more. We got something coming up special for you guys here in another month. But be patient with us as we build this thing from the ground up. Follow us and watch us grow. And let's do this together. Appreciate y'all love and support worldwide. And stay tuned.